morning, Samantha here, back. Thanks for joining me again. Today I thought I'd show you how to make spirals. I love making some of my jewellery pieces with these spirals. They're really versatile, and you can make them in all sorts of different gauges of wire. Here I've got some in really lightweight aluminium, super lightweight, which means that they're great for people who can't wear heavy jewellery, you know, in their ears or around their necks. Here we've got some in copper. I think this is a 1.25mm. And these guys are 1mm, 18 gauge, I think that is. I use them for earrings and just attach a little bead at the end. I also use them for necklaces and larger ones for some of my bigger pieces. You can see you can hammer them too. I hammer mine for these bigger pieces. As you can see, it gives them a really nice texture. And you can make them in all sorts of different sizes. I make these little guys with smaller. So you can make them in any size, any type of wire. The principle's the same, and I'll talk you through how to do them. So to start with, we'll go through a brief rundown of the simple tools that you'll need. To start with, you're going to need some flush cutters and use the flat side to make the flush cut. I'll show you how to do that in a little while. You're going to need some chain nose pliers. Any will do. They're just really to just get a grip on some of the coils sometimes, to straighten up bits and pieces if they get a little bit warped. You're going to need some round nose pliers or 6-step bail making pliers. I like to use these guys because it's exact every single time. So every time you make a hoop or a loop, they're exactly the same size and shape. However, you can use regular round nose pliers, but just mark, you know, on with a Sharpie, or you can gouge a little line in to make the same size hoops every time. I'm going to use these today. You're also going to need some wire. This is copper wire. I get from the Scientific Wire Company. Really, really good value, and it's extremely good quality. Great for putting a patina on, aging slightly. It's bare copper wire, so it's really, really, really good quality. You can also use craft wire, which is a little softer in the handle, but it works just as well for these shapes. In fact, craft wire is often a little easier to make the spirals with when you first start, as the wire is a little softer and easier to use. You can make it with thicker copper wire. This is 1.5mm, which, you know, I make some of the heavier gauge copper wire spirals with. Or indeed, for those people who don't like to wear jewellery, earrings, necklaces that are heavy, using aluminium craft wire is also a really good option. Again, because it is quite soft, you can get some really nice, really circular spirals with this material, because it's much, much easier to control in the bend, which I'll show you how to do in a little while. You're also going to need just a standard ruler, because you're going to need to measure portions of wire and then find the center. So I'll show you how to do that now. So for this demo, I've used 30 centimeters of the aluminium craft wire. because it's soft and it'll be easier for me to show you how to manipulate the wire with your fingers. So around about 30 centimetres, 12 inches. So then you would take your round nose pliers and find the centre, which for me is around about 15 centimetres. Once you've found the centre, pop the wire just at the edge, at the very tip of your pliers. Grasp, but not too hard. And then this left wire, if you're right-handed, turn it very gently until you get that kind of shape. Then the bottom wire, start turning it gently in the opposite direction. You're looking for an S shape. So you're around about this kind of point in the spiral. Use your fingers gently, and then, as you can see here, I've grasped a little bit too tightly with the aluminium wire. That won't happen with the copper or the craft wire, so just try and avoid that if you can. The next thing you need to do is use the pads of your thumb and your finger and hold this beginning of the spiral here to control it. And then what you do is you start to manipulate the wire slowly and gently, and use your fingers and the motion of your wrist and your hand to get to this point. So as you can see, we have the start of the spiral and this part of the spiral coming round. We now want to work on this piece here. So again, hold it with the pads of your thumb and your finger and start to bend your wire gently, manipulate your wire using your fingers as a guide. You can readjust if you need to. As you can see, I'm going quite slowly. I'm bending the wire in a circular fashion, gently, until you come to this part. So now you've got 2 revolutions of your spiral. So then we work on the bottom part. So again, keeping this part here within the thumb and the forefinger, start to bend the wire very gently and adjust it as you go if you need to. There's something quite zen about making these guys. Very relaxing, so don't speed it, don't take it rushed, be mindful. And again, so then we work on this bottom part again. Keep going in the same motion, just as adjusting it as you go, gently and steadily with control. The slower you go, the more control you have, the neater spiral you'll come out with. If you take it too fast, the wire will bend not in a circular motion, it will bend with a bit more of an angle to it, and then you won't have as clean and as neat a spiral, a circular spiral, as you'd like. So just keep going using these fingers here to guide yourself, and you just want to follow the form of the previous circle in the spiral until you get to this point. So this is what you have at this particular point now. And then we want to be making the hoops at the end of the spiral. So stop when you get to about this point. If you bend it any further, you'll distort this part of your spiral. So you can either use your round nose pliers for this stage. I prefer to use the smallest step of the 6-step bail making pliers, but that's just my choice. So what you need to do is pop the end of the wire so that you can barely feel it at the end of the pliers. And then very gently, with the rolling wrist motion, you bend that to make a loop. If you find that it distorts it slightly, you can wiggle that about a little bit. Come to the next one, which I'm just going to flush cut to make it neat. Again, right at the end so that you can't barely feel the edge of the wire, and with a rolling motion bend your wire into a hoop. I like to hammer these, like I say, to make my spiral earrings, just because I like the texture that it gives them. You can make these smaller, so if you wanted to make them smaller, use a lighter gauge. These are 1mm, and use 20 centimeters instead of 30 to make these guys. The principle is exactly the same. Just follow the spiral round, and then they make great earrings, great components for bracelets. You know, you could have a few of these to make a beautiful bracelet. You could make them in, like, there you go, different coloured wires. And how beautiful is that? Put beads in between. Absolutely brilliant and versatile, and you can make all sorts of things with these guys. So I hope that was helpful, and have fun with them. Pop in the comments and let me know what you've made and how much fun you found it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.